Hi, welcome to the Morongo Basin Municipal Advisory Council meeting for Monday, June 9th, 2014. We took that for the benefit of the recording, which you can find the recording of the meeting. Hello? Uh-oh. It's wireless, so sometimes if you hold your mouth wrong, it won't pick you up. We say the date for the benefit of the recording. You can find the recordings of each meeting under Big Mac and the name of the month on YouTube. And thank you for doing that, Bob Stevenson. If we could, first thing is say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll pass it to Secretary Max Rossi for the attendance.
Thank you. When you hear last name, please say present. Dugan?
Here.
Carmen?
Here.
Lundquist?
Here.
Lipsitz?
Here.
Surratt?
Here.
Rossi here. Tuttle?
Here.
Parrott?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'd like to adopt the agenda unless anyone has any additions or changes. We will move our presentation from Art Miller down a little bit while they get the electronics to work. Which means we'll move on to the minutes, unless there are any changes or additions to the agenda. Okay, hearing none, the agenda stands. Meeting minutes are on the back of your agenda. A few people might have a copy with nothing on the back. And I know you all these went out with the agenda earlier this week, and if everybody had a chance to look, were there any changes or additions? Thanks to Shirley Lyon-Lundquist for doing the minutes. Shirley is our clerk over at the press table and volunteers to do that every month, and we sure appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, hearing no changes, the minutes are approved as presented, and move right to public comment. If anyone wishes to speak and they have not yet filled out one of these cards, please do so. You'll find them at the table over here, and then pass them up here, and we'll call on you. If you're speaking on an item that is on the agenda, and we will call on you when that item comes up for discussion. If it's something that's not on the agenda, now is your chance. And we have looks like first is Ray Minuto. I can't read the last name. Ray General Delivery. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. It's Desert Heights. We'll call you later, Ray. Janet Tucker says new building and parking restrictions. That's an item not on the agenda, I assume, right? That's not related to something we're talking about? Okay. Bobby Flint, roads in Yucca Mesa. Hi, welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now? No. I feel like that commercial. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. My name's Bobby Flint, also Barbara Flint, and I live up on Yucca Mesa.
And I'm once again speaking about the closed roads. Elizabeth Carmen sent me an email and wanting a list of all of the streets that I've been concerned with. And I just typed this out. I had it in a bunch of notes for a while, but at one time, a little over almost 2 years, but a little short, a year and a half or so, the county of San Bernardino went through and did maintenance along Avalon and Aberdeen. And in error, the county closed off Alta Avenue, Pepper, they closed off Gilchrist, they blocked off Sunny Sands and Breezy Lane. The residents had a call and they reopened all the roads except for Breezy Lane. Now, following that, these roads, I have neighbors, and I'm thinking maybe it's part of the consequences that Breezy Lane was never reopened by the county. Those roads, residents have now taken it upon themselves to close down various roads, and they include Sunny Sands, various sections of Breezy Lane off of Jewelcrest has been blocked off of Yucca Mesa, that has also been blocked off. Paradise View, Breezy Lane has been blocked off. Sunny Sand is blocked off at, Yucca Mesa. And the Paradise View has stakes in the road blocking it, so you can't go up through that coming off of Aberdeen. It ends, and these are my concerns and have been, and the last road closure happened in March, which was the Breezy Lane on Jewelcrest, which is the road, and I know what neighbor did that work. I saw him with his tractor, and so there's been, that I'm aware of, 3 different residents that live off of Breezy Lane that's shutting that road down. Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. We have Margot Sturgis wants to make a general comment. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Margot Sturgis. For some of you that are not aware of what's going on, you'll look on the dais and you'll see there's a seat that's been vacated by Mr. Dave Peach. And so I would like to just spend a moment of silence, a brief moment of silence in his honor. Mr. Peach has always been an outspoken person. While we may not agree with what Mr. Peach says as an individual, I believe he has the right to say so. It's called the First Amendment rights. I attended the teleconferencing and expressed my disappointment and urged Mr. Ramos to reconsider removing him. And I was looking into what was the reason why he removed him. He's always been outspoken, and some of you agree with him and some of you don't. But you must always agree that a person has the First Amendment rights of free speech. After I delivered my 3 minutes at the San Bernardino County meeting, I had no idea who was sitting in the audience, but there was a loud applause for my presentation at that time, which was very brief. I believe that if you have a director on the water board that sits on the dais and throws out a criticism of Mr. Peach while sitting on the dais, why wouldn't that standard apply to her as well? And I do have a copy of that excerpt, and I do not think that this is the right thing to do, that he should be singled out. So the next question I have to ask myself is, why would he be singled out? All right, he lives in Joshua Tree. He's on the Joshua Tree MAC. He conducted himself well up there. He never criticized anybody. He turned to the meeting. He followed the MAC manual. But on the letter to the editor, he spoke out against the sewer in Yucca Valley because of the way that they're changing the boundaries. And so for that statement and that attitude and that opinion, they got him kicked off the dais because of Saran Graham's rant on the dais saying she's going to have him removed. Now, when does Yucca Valley politics have anything to do with the county or Joshua Tree? That's wrong. That really is wrong. And who's next? Is somebody not going to be appointed to the dais because they are against the Dollar General or because they are for the Dollar General? I mean, where is the individual rights? Where is our First Amendment rights? And while Mr. Peach, is alive and well, he's been pursued by a couple of attorneys. He doesn't choose to go that route. He serves at the pleasure of Mr. Ramos, and yet he's getting interviews on the radio. So basically what they've done is they have given him a larger voice, and I hate to see our First Amendment rights eroded like this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Cherish Coca, lender.
Hi, my name's Cherish Kolka, and we live in Landers. We have the opportunity to have the Special Water District do the water for us. We recently had a rate increase, and with this rate increase, they have replaced our meters with meters that are really high-tech for us because we don't even have internet service without doing special stuff, but that's beside the point. They had a contract, and I'm really curious what the Special Water District paid for this contract. On a Sunday, I had 4 people from the contracting company deliver us a notice saying they were going to shut our water off on Monday. I don't know why it took 4 people. It turned out that they didn't turn our water off. They came and turned our water off on Thursday. And when they turned the water off, we had a leak for 3 days. I was told by the special district, when I found out about the leak, we were held responsible for this because
It was our side of the valve.
on the valve that they replaced. We didn't do the work. So we had to wait, 2 hours for the county to come out and tell us, yeah, we're going to turn it off. We'll have the contractors come back out. They came back out today, and all they did, they didn't replace the regulator, they put a pipe in. Now we're held responsible for 2 days of water for a leak, for a regulator, for a contract that I'm paying taxes on that I'm not understanding, and we had a rate increase. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I work for the County of San Bernardino. I'm held accountable for my job. I want to know why the Water District isn't held accountable for their contracts, for their work. Thank you.
What district is it?
It's CS 26 or 76? 70.
CSA 70, which zone is it, do you know?
I sure don't.
W1, yes.
Is it in
He writes the
It's in
checks
Landers,
out.
yes.
Landers, okay.
Yes.
Did you say 4 people came out to deliver the shut-off notice
Yes,
Yes.
on a Sunday.
on a Sunday?
Yeah, that's our tax dollars at work, contract work.
And they didn't shut off the water?
No, they came back out on Wednesday and left another note that they would shut the water
And they
off.
shut it off on Thursday.
So 2 trips?
Yes.
Were 4 people? Did it take 4 people the second time?
We weren't present at that time because I was actually at work, so,
Sure.
yeah.
Thank
But for
you.
me,
Thank you
tax
much.
dollars, thank you.
Was there anyone else to speak on an item? I don't see any other cards unless I'm not reading it correctly. And to speak on an item not on the agenda? Okay, in that case, I'm sorry. Yes, you were speaking on roads in Wonder Valley? Oh, Almond Fleck then, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I overlooked it.
Good evening. I'm Almut Fleck from Wonder Valley. Wonder Valley is a dumping ground for all kinds of trash. We had the opportunity, and we appreciate that the county helped us one day to get the trash picked up with the help of the Marines, and a lot of stuff was picked up. However, the very next day, a truckload full of trash was dumped in my neighborhood behind an abandoned cabin, and it still sits there. As much as we appreciate the help, and as much as we got done on this one day, it is actually a drop in the bucket. When you come out to Wonder Valley and you really walk the place, not just drive by, you will see the dumping continues. And so my question is, are we to organize the next collection, or is there any chance for the county to give us a hand again? Thank you.
I will let you know we do have an inquiry into building and safety, looking for more of that HUD money that paid to finance those cleanups. They're getting back to us. Anyone else to speak on an item not on the agenda? Okay, with that, public safety reports. We have Captain Dale Mondary here. Hi, Captain Mondary. Thanks for coming. From the Morongo Basin Sheriff's Station.
Thank you, and I'd also like to thank you, Chairman Lipsis. I know the last month at my first meeting, you had me scheduled for 4 minutes, and I warned everybody that was just not going to work for me. So thanks for the additional minute this evening. As far as the Sheriff's Department, I would like to just kind of publicly make people aware of a few things and things to do, to be on the lookout for, make sure we're protecting ourselves. The first thing that I would highly recommend, if you don't know, get to know your neighbors. They are much better at detecting crime, I don't want to say than we are, but our deputies, I mean, we're really good after action and trying to solve things, but your neighbors will know who should be in your neighborhood, who should be at your house, you know, what days your landscapers show up, or whatever work you've got going on. And they can recognize if somebody might be hanging around your house or your neighborhood that should not be there, and then calling the Sheriff's Department. And I actually met with one of the board members and recently and chatted with them, and there was an issue in her neighborhood. The first thing she asked is, well, did you call the Sheriff's Department? And the response that she got was no, because we don't show up. Let me assure you that if you call us, we will show up. It may not be when you would like us to, because we have to prioritize the calls for service that we have. And if you have an illegal off-road motorcycle or off-road vehicle driving around in your area, and we have somebody getting broken into or a fight across the other side of the county, that's going to take precedent. But we will show up. And I know some people said, well, I have called and we don't see anybody. If you don't, I'll use the motorcycle just as an example. If you don't request contact and you're just complaining about the loud rider or loud music, we will go out there, we will try to locate it. If we don't locate it, we may not contact you if you have it. It doesn't mean that we haven't shown up, but if you actually want to speak to a deputy, when you call dispatch, just ask, say, hey, I would like to be contacted. Wednesday is the final day of school, so I don't know if I'm stealing CHP's thunder here, but I would like to remind everybody that. So the kids are going to be out in the daytime, running around where we haven't seen them before. So please drive cautiously when you're out and about, because it's summertime and the kids are going to be out and about. Also, we've had some residential burglaries that are occurring lately. So I would remind you, when you leave your house, make sure that you lock it up. Also, since it's getting hot, if those of you that use your swamp cooler and have to leave a window cracked or a door cracked, I would encourage you to get some sort of device that will only allow your door or window that you leave open to open just a small amount. If some of them are repeat offenders, they're aware if you're running your swamp cooler, you're probably going to have a window crack. They will find that window and just see if they can open it. So cut off a piece of broomstick or find some way to secure that window so it can only be opened a little bit. And in that vein, I don't know about anybody else, but when I go outside, I am hot the last couple of days. I've been using that excuse not to do yard work at my house, so my wife is not happy with me. But I want to remind everybody to stay hydrated because we will get calls for service of people, passing out. Stay hydrated, stay in where it's cool. If you don't have some sort of cooling mechanism at your home, I would encourage you to, again, get to know your neighbors. Maybe you could go hang out with them if they've got a swamp cooler or air conditioning. Find the cooling centers. Visit your local businesses, even if you just do window shopping, walking around any of the stores that have air conditioning, or restaurants that you can sit in and enjoy a glass of water or something. Do something to stay cool. Go to the county buildings, public libraries, the county buildings, city buildings usually open 8 to 5. They have chairs in the lobby. I know we have them at the sheriff's station. And if you are that hot that you don't have a place to cool down, come sit in our lobby. You are welcome in the county. Now we close at, I think, 6, so we'll throw you out at 6. But in the heat of the day, if you need some reprieve, please take it. Don't get exhausted and endanger your health. And that's all I have, sir.
I just have a comment for any parents that might be in the room that might have older children that go out after dark in the summertime. I know black is really the in thing for young people these days, but when they're walking along the highway, close to the highway, and they're wearing black, they're very difficult to see. And if you aren't absolutely right on track on the highway, there's a possibility. It's happened in Morongo Valley where children have been hit. So if you have children at home, have them wear something bright when they go out at night.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Could we hear from, Lieutenant Dan DeLong and Joan Griffin from California Highway Patrol. I understand Lieutenant DeLong won't be with us for too long. You're being transferred. Is this your last meeting?
This is the last one.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and start that off. Yeah, this will be my last opportunity to address the council and you good people as the commander of the Morongo Basin CHP area. I've taken a transfer down the hill in the San Bernardino area, closer to my home. And I just want to make sure I took this opportunity to first thank you guys for your support. I've had a lot of support, and I've had a great time. I've been here a year and a half, and it's just been wonderful. So I want to thank you guys all for that. Thank you.
I just want to remind everyone, if you didn't hear, tomorrow at Walmart from 9 to noon, we're going to be doing a car seat checkup. So if you have any questions or any doubt in your mind that your car seat's not installed correctly, come on over. It's free. We're not there to do a license check on you. We're not there to write citations for them being done incorrectly. We're there to fix it because we want to make sure the kids are safe, especially for the upcoming travel going on in the summer months. So it's not a trap, it's not a checkpoint. Please come out. If for some reason you can't make it to that event, I do these checkups by appointment at the CHP office throughout the year. So you just call and make an appointment with me. It's very important that that happens. Just a reminder of who needs to be in a car seat. Any child under 8 years old and under 4'9". So it used to be 6 and 60. So now it's 8 or 4'9". I don't want to confuse anyone. 8 or 4'9" needs to be in some type of car seat. So if anyone has any questions about that, go ahead. Any questions?
So folks can come to the county building, cool off, and get their car seat checked next door. Okay.
Sure. We'll be happy to do that. We do those car seat appointments in the mornings in the summertime, but it's hot. But I'm happy to do it. I love checking out car seats. You're not imposing on me, and it's a free service we offer.
Questions, anybody?
Who's taking your place? Thank you.
It'll be Lieutenant Eric Robles, and he's currently assigned in San Bernardino, and he will most probably be here at the next MAC meeting in July.
Thanks so much.
One quick question. I've noticed that the Route 62, 29 Palms Highway going down west, the dividers that were installed there on the, several of them are now broken, and I've noticed that people have turned into them and knocked them down. What's the update on that? Are they going to be replaced, fixed, or will those be removed eventually? And are we going to get a wall up there? What's the plan with that, and where are we, if you know?
Well, I'll address a couple points. There is a more permanent plan in the works, and Caltrans, it's not really clear on the year. It's either next year or the year following. What they're going to put in there, I think right now is tentatively scheduled for the rolled curb, like you see in the town in Yucca. The attenuators themselves, I believe there's a maintenance crew, and if you call our office or Caltrans, they will come out and replace those, unless you know something that I don't.
They do, because of the cost of the repair. They do wait till they have a bunch of them at one time, because it's expensive for them to get a whole crew together to go replace one or two or three. So they do wait until they have several at a time. Caltrans is very aware of which ones are down. They patrol just like we do. So they patrol looking for trash and damage just like we do.
Which makes it problematic. If there's an opening, people will use it.
I've also noticed that people have dumped there on the 29 Palms Highway sofas and furniture, and it sat there for a few days. I thought that maybe Caltrans went down, they would take note of that. But I've seen a sofa there on the 29 Palms Highway now for about a week and a half.
Where's it located?
Going down on, yes, down the grade.
Is it a good sofa?
Looks like a pretty.
It's in Riverside County?
Okay. We will get, that if it's in Riverside County, it'll be a different, actually division and area than ours, but we will relay that information down there.
I got it.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Sir?
Well, some of the places that they've taken those pylons down, it looks as though they have been taken out by Caltrans, because they're the same distance on both ends. That's where they have like an intersection.
Okay, and
I'm sure that a lot of people down there got ticked off about them suckers being up there, because they have to run all the way down to one end or the other to get turned around to go in where they want to go.
Right. Well, what I can tell you is they did make adjustments after the fact. I mean, you people probably know that. So in the way that they made those adjustments is they did take those attenuators out at certain locations. So you would see, I guess, the rubber cement that holds them down. You would see those. So there may be openings that look like they're actually missing, but they were planned openings, after the fact. Right. So if you see them actually down, and it's obvious that they've been run down or taken out, that's something you probably want to report. We relay that to Caltrans, and they'll put that on their maintenance list.
Yeah, but they ought to take and see if they're going to put that turn lane in there. They ought to see if they can put a turn lane in, so these people can get off the highway and then make their turn.
Right.
Because right at the present time, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I know there's some challenges with making that U-turn and oncoming traffic and those things.
Mm-hmm.
I can report this as a resident of Morongo Valley and involved with the fire department there. The fire department is very happy that they're there, because they have not had a fatality due to a car crossing over into the other side since the delineators were put in. I know they're a little bit of an inconvenience for some people, but we're getting used to them. The people that live there are getting used to them, and they're finding alternative roads to turn on to get to their homes or get on the highway. And we all feel a lot safer having those there.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Good luck.
And now San Bernardino County Fire Battalion Chief Mike Snow. Thanks for coming.
For those of you that haven't met me yet, I'm including the members of the board up here. I'm affectionately known as Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti, so feel comfortable at addressing me however you will. I answer to just about everything. Good evening, members of the board and the audience. I have just a quick summary report here for you this evening. Since we've incorporated the Big Mac now, we try and give a little report inclusive of all of the communities that are covered under that. And total responses that I have for the month of May in Johnson Valley, Johnson Valley Station did not respond to a single incident themselves. However, they were supported on 3 incidents by the Aberdeen Station, Fire Station 42 in Yucca. Joshua Tree responded to 103 incidents. Wonder Valley, 37 incidents. Landers, 13 incidents. We had no responses in Pioneer Town or the Rincon area. And then for the Yucca Mesa Station, 81 responses for a total of 234 responses combined for the month of May. Of that response, we had 9 fires, 153 medical aids and or rescues, and that also includes traffic-related incidents. 1 hazardous condition, 19 service calls, good intent calls, we responded to 46. False alarm calls were 2, and then other non-categorized calls were 1 report. Just for the safety message and going along the lines of the hot summer months, you know, we're rapidly approaching fire season as well as 4th of July. We want to remind everybody out there that have kids or have kids in their neighborhood that that we keep an eye on them with regards to juvenile fire setting. Every one of us in here were kids at one time. We all know what it's like to play with a lighter or pick up matches. So it's part of the growing process, but it's part of our process as parents and the elders to make sure that we educate those young folks about the dangers of fire and the consequences that that can bring about. So we do have an active juvenile fire setters program within the county fire department. So if you happen to notice unusual behaviors with your folks or children in the area, by all means, you know, get a hold of us. We'd be more than happy to go out and talk with them and get them through the program, hopefully to change any behaviors that we don't want to see out there. And as you know, with 4th of July that's approaching, San Bernardino County is a no fireworks zone.
Say that again. Say that again.
San Bernardino County is a no fireworks zone, okay? And that includes all of the communities up here. The only thing that is sanctioned are those communities that sponsor those events and or the individual cities that have an ordinance that allow for that. But the county of San Bernardino and the unincorporated areas do not allow for firework display. So again, educate your neighbors and folks not to be out there with these items. We don't want to have another repeat of the Sawtooth or the Dulce fire, or any other fire for that matter. So that's all I have. Is there any questions from the audience or the panel?
Yeah.
Sir?
You want to remind, excuse me, remind people that you don't shoot a gun off in the air. What goes up will come down.
Absolutely, and that's a
It'll
big
come
part
down,
of the
not
4th of July as well.
Yeah, not necessarily in your yard.
Yes,
It'll come down somewhere else.
yes.
That
and
causes a lot of injuries in a lot of places.
I'm sure that law enforcement has more than their fair share of those calls, particularly during those celebratory events, such as 4th of July and New Year's. So, very good point.
The fire that was on, that was just south of Aberdeen, the burnt down house there, are you familiar with that?
Yes, I was on that incident.
How many people were left homeless on it?
We had a family of 3 that were affected with that fire. And of course, with any fire that affects the displacement of families, we have an immediate contact with the Red Cross, and they help shelter those folks until they can find a better means of placement. Unfortunately, they did lose a family pet in that fire. But yes, yes.
Do they know why?
It was, let's just put it to you this way. It was human induced, probably from activities that would not normally be sanctioned in today's society. So, other than that, we do have those problems up here. Yes.
Did it blow the windows out?
Huh?
Did it blow the windows out?
No, but it definitely burnt the property down and most of the structures that were on it. And that was a very high wind event day for us on that particular fire. So we were actually chasing spot fires across the highway at Aberdeen on that incident. And had we not have enough resources on scene to catch it, we would have been off to the races, and we may have lost additional homes as a result of that. So.
Do you issue burn permits for people to burn trash, or is that a CAL FIRE issue?
The burn permit issuance is handled by the local jurisdiction. So if you live in an area that's surrounded or includes the state responsibility area, that would be a CAL FIRE issuance for a burn permit. Okay. County fire would encompass all of the local area responsibility that's not covered by another entity such as the federal agencies or the state agencies. And those burn permits are typically limited to small yard waste with regards to tumbleweeds, small shrubs, and cleanup. It's not usually permitted for trash burning. And it depends on the agency as to whether or not they will allow recreational fire use off of those burn permits.
Okay, because I have heard that, and I can't remember if it's specifically our fire department in Morongo Valley or CAL FIRE is not issuing any burn permits because of the high fire danger.
Yeah, and that is to an individual preference or guideline by the individual entities as to whether or not they issue the burn permits.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Regarding public safety, I wonder whether perhaps any of the officials present could tell us some direction concerning feral and vicious dogs that have been dumped in the desert, particularly out in Wonder Valley. We have animals that have been dumped there, and I'm told, and we raised this issue before, when people are either get moved out of the area, they leave their dogs out there. And just, I think last week I was driving through, dropping off a friend at home, and this large animal came out of nowhere, trying to attack us. And so we just sped away, but I'm told there are packs out there. So the question is, what's the procedure to eradicate this problem? Because we have very fierce animals. So what's the procedure to address that?
Well, I know from the fire department's perspective is keep your distance and not, and entangle yourself with the animal so that you can avoid injury. But I'd probably have to defer to law enforcement procedurally for that. They can probably fill you in a little better.
Do you need more time?
Well, I would just agree with Mike. The big thing, I mean, that sounds like the rational, reasonable thing to do. Don't draw the line in the sand that says, I have a right to be here and I'm not moving, because that will get you bit. But I would encourage you to call the dispatch, especially if they are an aggressive dog, and we'll get hold of animal control and have them go out there and might even just call them and say, hey, you know, this is becoming a problem out in this area. So, and then they can roll out and kind of keep an eye on it. And I'll have our deputies make notes of that if they are seeing them running at large in particular locations, which usually they're territorial, so they will have some sort of ground we can pinpoint for animal control to address that.
Do you know if they'll tranquilize them if they can get close to them?
I don't believe that they would. If they have a way to capture them with the hook and the pole, that if they don't have to, they will not do that. They'll just.
Where I came from out of San Diego in the county, they would tranquilize them because a lot of times you can't catch them.
And I don't think they would tranquilize them. And again, I'm not an animal control officer, so I can't speak to their policy. But just for the fact that the dog's running around and they can't catch him, I don't think as a general rule they would tranquilize him unless it is an aggressive dog that is attacking and they have that a confirmed identity. Then they may try to do that in order to capture them. But I don't think that's a normal practice. Okay, your time starts again now.
Again, I'm good with my presentation. If there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll give your time back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about now? Okay. Hi. Hello. I'm looking at Anthony. Okay, hey, there it is. Okay, I have to hold it just right. We're lucky to have Art Miller here tonight, who's going to talk to us about Joshua Tree Gateway Community's marketing of the Morongo Basin to draw tourists. And I have a surprise for everyone up here on the dais, and that is that we're going to have to move out of the way for the projector to be seen behind me. So I know, Art, you're going to speak first, and we'll then scamper.
Yeah, okay. So do you want to take a couple minutes to move everything out, or you want me to start my presentation?
Go ahead. When you go over there, when you walk over there, we'll...
Okay, and then Tammy back there is going to run the slides.
Oh, actually, okay, so we're getting out of the way.
So, well, to everyone in the MAC, thank you for inviting me to give this presentation on the Joshua Tree Gateway Communities. I'll wait until we go further along. Huh? There?
No, we're not in the way. They are.
Okay. Yeah, open the doors. These Joshua Gateway Community encompasses the communities of Morongo Valley, Yucca Valley, Pioneer Town, Homestead Valley, Joshua Tree, 29 Palms, and Wonder Valley. We are a tourism committee of the Morongo Basin Regional Economic Development Consortium. The committee was started in 2010 and includes members from all the area communities, as well as the Marine Corps Base and the National Park. The committee has worked hard and cooperatively with the hope of finding a stronger brand or to identify our market, to market ourselves as a potential visitor from outside the area. And we have a website called joshuatreegatewaycommunities.com. I hope you take a look at it. And this, so it was designed to promote our most important asset and internationally recognized tourist designation, the Joshua Tree National Park. So the gateway communities behind Joshua Tree was chosen because it's a term commonly used to identify communities located near entrances to national parks. For some of you who might not know, the Coachella Valley has 9 independent unique communities down there, and they were having problems struggling how to identify themselves. So recently they rebranded themselves as the Greater Palm Springs Oasis. They understand the importance and benefit of utilizing the name Palm Springs that was already familiar with so many. So by adding a couple additional words, they have rebranded their own area, working together as a team more effectively to market themselves as a whole versus each community trying to attract tourism on their own. So this is what we're doing here, up here, we've called ourselves Joshua Gateway Communities. Now I'm going to give you right away here a short presentation on how the Joshua Gateway Community brand can help all of us when marketing our communities to those outside our area. Now, and when I say branding, I'm not here to say, well, the school district should change their name away from Morongo Basin or whatever, but this is just for tourism and marketing. So, so when you say Morongo Basin to someone who lives here, they know what exactly you're talking about. The school district, the transit, Morongo Broadcasting, Basin-wide Foundation, Basin-wide Ambulance. So when you live here, Morongo Basin means home sweet home. But to tourists, it's another story. Las Vegas, San Diego, Disneyland, Morongo Basin. So our area has a branding problem. Branding, very scary. Sometimes it's not tangible. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Now these are different brands you've seen possibly about cattle. So the purpose of brand is to tell whose cow is whose. But a funny thing has happened. Sometimes one brand stands out from the herd. Rancher Bob's, I gotta read this, breeding, Rancher Bob's Pitchfork. Mike, can you read it for me? Rancher Bob's Pitchfork brand. Oh, okay. Better breeding and feeding. Buyers are looking for the Pitchfork brand. So the brand becomes the brand. Brand adds value in many ways, but one stands out. A strong marketing makes it easier to whatever, a strong brand makes it easier to whatever you're marketing. Sometimes a brand is worth more than the whole company. Special places with special qualities make them unique also to be brands. Like it says London on the bottom. Okay. Next slide. Palm Springs. And again, with special qualities that make them unique can also be brands. But most places are just names on a map, just like Rome, New York. The good news is Morongo is just not a place on the map. It's a pretty strong brand. The bad news is it's not our brand. Somewhere else owns the Morongo brand. The name Morongo does not add value to our tourism business. In fact, it causes confusion. If there was only some alternative name that we could identify our region. Now that's a brand, Joshua Tree National Park. Joshua Tree National Park, internationally known destination, over 1 million visitors a year. It's featured in magazines, newspapers, catalogs, commercials, etc. More good news. Joshua Tree is already our brand. Now this is was in Sunset Magazine a few months ago, and this was the article and the cover of the picture. So it emphasized Joshua Tree, and it emphasized in the Joshua Tree area the 29 Palms Inn, and it also emphasizes Pappy & Harriet's in Pioneer Town. So when it comes to, hopefully in the future, when people are looking for a place to go, and some people say Las Vegas, San Diego, Disneyland, so now they can say Joshua Tree. And that includes Johnson Valley, Home of the Hammers, and Yucca Valley. For Extra Valley, just add Joshua Tree Gateway Communities. Thank you. Can we turn the light back on? Now you're probably thinking, just we should stop using the Morongo Basin. No, for us who've been here for a while, we like the word Morongo Basin. But the Joshua Tree Gateway Communities brand is specified, designed to market our communities to those who are unfamiliar with our basin, especially tourists to our area. As you will learn soon, it becomes easier to incorporate it into everyday lives as we used to it. We already have an international recognized name that all our communities can use, so we want to take advantage of this opportunity. Together, our community, our group wants to continue work on as a team, so we can easier attract those very much needed tourist dollars that our community is hungry for. So that's basically my presentation. We meet once a month. In the audience tonight is Jerry Mattis from 29 Palms. He's runs our committee. And if anybody has any questions, Jerry and I will be glad to answer them. Yes.
You didn't mention what day of the month you meet and the time and place.
Our committee meets at Mike's office, second Wednesday of the month, 8 o'clock.
And where's Mike's office?
In the county building. James Ramos' office.
What time?
8 o'clock.
AM or evening?
8 a.m.
Hello, I'm Eva Soldiers, and I have till I.
You want the mic?
Oh, I'm pretty loud.
Okay.
I've served on the Joshua Gateway Communities, and I'm all for cooperation among communities. And I just want to point out a couple things about the presentation. You mentioned the Hammers. You mentioned Joshua Park. You mentioned the 29 Palms Inn. You mentioned Pioneer Town. You mentioned Yucca Valley. There was no mention of the town, the little village of Joshua Tree in this whole presentation. So I want to say that, and I would like to say that if this is adopted by the MAC, that I think it's really important to preserve the differences as well as the similarities between the communities. And I would like, for the Joshua Tree Gateway Communities to be backing up the no formula retail ordinance for Joshua Tree for the town, because I think it becomes the gem in the tourist attraction for the entire area. So I am all for the gateway communities. I would really like to see the identities preserved and for that group to really understand the mom and pop nature of the Joshua Tree Village.
I will relay that to our committee, and especially George Kopp, who lives in Joshua Tree, who made the presentation.
I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
Also not mentioned in this is Big Morongo Canyon Preserve, which is a world-renowned bird sanctuary that gets thousands of visitors, tourists every year.
Well, this presentation is not necessarily going to be used to promote outside the area. This is just a deal to let the locals know that we're all working together from all the communities, and I think it's not as important to, we all know what we have, in Morongo and all the communities have to do. So all this, the main thing for this presentation is to talk about this branding of Joshua Tree Gateway Communities that's going to include all the points of interest in our area.
Yeah, I'm just saying you'll be able to sell it to the communities more if they feel that they've got a vested interest by your bringing up the things that are in each of their individual communities.
And they'll find that if you go on our website. That we've already looked into that, and there's a link on for all the communities, and so it's up to each of the communities to update that, provide the current information on what they have in their community.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is Lander? I didn't see Landers on it. And we have Goodler's Orchids, and we've got the Chambertron, which is...
Right, but here again, all the information on what we have is on the website, and this is just a general overview of the area. And if we can promote our area by bring them here because number one, the national park, then hopefully they'll have time to see all these other little venues we have that we're so proud of. Jerry?
I guess the last thing I'd like to say about this is the people that we communicate really are people like Visit California, Greater Palm Springs Desert Oasis, the San Bernardino Economic Development Agency, which has their own marketing plan. And when we go to them, they will not put the individual names in of our various communities. But if we can get them to put in Joshua Tree Gateway Communities into all their ads, like we're talking to Sunset, we'd like them to put a section in that's called Joshua Tree Gateway Communities, so that when the local community spends their advertising dollars. We're doing this with Greater Palm Springs. Visit California has the California Desert program. In that program, we want them to put the Joshua Tree Gateway Communities. Then, on our website, we will emphasize all these individual communities. We will talk, and you're all listed there, 14 that you said. All 14 there, Homestead Valley, Landers, Flamingo Heights is there, Johnson Valley is there, Wonder Valley is there, Morongo Valley is there. And certainly, we want to emphasize all those special, unique things, like the bird preserve that's there, which is world famous, right? So yes, this is just the brand to get everybody else to use, then we market us.
How are you funded?
How we're funded. We are funded not at all right now. We've been operating with no money. What we understood is first we had to decide what we wanted to call ourselves. We decided on Joshua Tree Gateway Communities. Now the second thing we're doing is out in the communities trying to talk about this idea of using Joshua Tree Gateway Communities when you're talking about out of the area. The second thing we'll work on, we've started to work on now, is getting the other major advertisers. Visit California spends $80 million a year on promoting California. So what we're interested in is for them to say Joshua Tree Gateway Communities every time they talk about our area. They now refer to the park as next to Palm Springs. We don't want them to do that. So, and we're after so that when we compete with Palm Springs, we want to make Palm Springs into the day trip from the Joshua Tree Gateway Communities. Palm Springs makes us now into the day trip. In other words, go up to Pappy and Harriet's and come back to stay in Palm Springs. We want to change all that. And we have the facilities now because we had the Best Western Yucca Valley. We had the other travel in Yucca Valley. 29 Palms has 600 and some rooms there. Joshua Tree has vacation homes that are becoming famous. I mean, they are famous. They're written up in the LA Times all the time. They're written up in the major magazines. So this is why we're doing but no money right now. We're not using any money. Yes.
Hi, I'm Julian Gonzalez. In what you're expressing, aren't you, if people are referring to Joshua Tree community, okay, gateway communities, aren't you taking away from the Joshua Tree National Park in reference? I mean, if people are out there and they say, let's say in LA or somewhere in Arizona or whatever, oh, where are you going? I'm going out to the Joshua Tree Gateway communities. Or are they saying, I'm going to go out to Joshua Tree National Park?
The Joshua Tree National Park, has a 1.6 million people a year that come, and they're all going to come. What we're interested in is them not staying in Palm Springs, that they stay up here in Joshua Tree Gateway communities. We're interested in them that they visit Joshua Tree, that they understand. And you're already starting to see that since they put the visitor centers in Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree has a real tourist trade now. I mean, it is fun to go down there. Look at the farmer's market there. I mean, it's exciting.
For Julian, they just say Joshua Tree. They wouldn't say National Park, they wouldn't say the town, they wouldn't say Gateway Community, they would just say Joshua Tree. In saying Joshua Tree, Joshua Tree had the foresight 80 years ago to name itself after the national monument. That was branding. We're 80 years ahead of Yucca Valley, I guess. Joshua Tree is the only community that supported the Desert Protection Act of 1994. The others didn't. Let's get them on board for the Protection Act that's coming up. We'd like more support from Yucca Valley, who wants to put in signals and Walmarts, and Twin Palms, which wants to put in more hotels or whatever. We want to get them on board. I've been working for 20 years for them to get on board. We're way ahead of you.
Well, I agree with that, but I know 29 Palms is supporting the 20-year celebration, for instance, for the Protection Act. So I feel like 29 Palms understands that now.
There's a new one that's trying to get established. We don't know what year it'll be, but it's coming out. But right now, Yucca Valley is working against it.
But that's Yucca Valley. I mean, and maybe I shouldn't say it that way, Art, should I?
It's okay.
Yeah. This committee is made up of all the communities. It really is, and we're working together. And when you come there, if you come, you'll see that we discuss these things. But we're aimed at one thing: promote tourism. Anything else, Art?
You want to talk about this in public hearing? One of the things, few things we have done in cooperation with Steve Brown, the Sunrunner. This was published about a year ago, and we gave most of them out and distributed them. And so I understand he's going to reprint this here soon. But it mentions all the communities and points of interest inside.
Another example, visit California, $80 million. We just had 5 international tours people come up here and visit the Joshua Tree Gateway communities. They knew about some things from Palm Springs, because Palm Springs has been promoting our area, Pappy and Harriet's, the Integratron. They've been promoting our, Goobler Orchids. I mean, they've been promoting those things. For the first time, the Visit California, the gal who makes her money from getting these promoters from international promoters in, says, oh, Joshua Tree Gateway Community, I understand it now, at last. That's Visit California that did that. And the major work of that, by the way, was Joshua Tree Chamber of Commerce did the work putting that together. Right, Jet?
We also have the smallest volcano in the continental United States, in Amway. Hundreds of thousands of people come to see that place. That also needs to be included in there. People go out there, and there are rock people that are fanatical about that stuff.
We are a very unique area. We just need to advertise it internationally and nationally. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have a comment that on a comment card for the that was filled out. So take the podium. I'm sorry, I overlooked that. But I do want to thank Art and Jerry both for coming out and presenting.
Hello. Is this on? This one? Hi. Okay. I'm Janet Tucker, Joshua Tree. I think it's fair to say that the town of Joshua Tree could be the heart of the tourist business up here. And I think you could say that Tortoise Island is the heart of Joshua Tree. So you could say that Tortoise Island could be the heart of the tourism business. And I've been here since 1999, and there's no new development on Tortoise Island. It's about a third to a half empty lots. And what I understand is that the reason why no one can build on Tortoise Island is that there's a rule that you have to dedicate part of that space to parking. And these lots are so narrow that it's impossible to do that. So it's impossible to develop the rest of Tortoise Island. And it's kind of ridiculous because there is abundant, ample parking on Tortoise Island. There's double perpendicular parking all along Tortoise Island. And I think that the county should make a rule that, that the parking restriction doesn't apply to Tortoise Island, so we can see some real creative development in that area and make it more interesting for tourists, because it's one thing to create this wonderful brand, but when they come to Joshua Tree, what they see is a half-empty Tortoise Island, which is, it's all potential and no development. So that is my suggestion.
Thank you, Janet. It's a good one. I think that probably traffic flow, sidewalks, pedestrian easements is all something that the county's looking at and that Joshua Tree desperately needs. Yeah. And thank you to Jerry and Art again for coming out to make the presentation. It's just proof again that nothing is beyond controversy. Appreciate all the time. Moving on. Moving, is that, okay. Last month we looked at, we called for a public hearing on Desert Heights to look at the area representation there, and Desert Heights has no representation on the map. And thank you, thanks. A lot of us weren't even sure where Desert Heights was, who lives there, what are the, who are the leaders, where do people meet, and only 2 people from Desert Heights showed up last month. And so we know there are more people than that, and we asked Mary Reeves, who's the columnist for the Trail in Desert Heights, writes the community pages, to come and speak to us about Desert Heights. And so we want to hear from Mary to tell us, fill us in a little bit, tell us what you learned this last month. And we also have Chief Jim Thompson from Desert Heights here to tell us, to fill us in, because Chief Thompson is from the 29 Palms Fire Station, which is under the auspices, now Desert Heights Lear Station falls under those auspices. I think Chief Thompson can probably say that more eloquently, but we'll hear from him after Mary Reeves.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware that you were going to have him speak after me because I was going to have him join me up here, but okay, well, okay. Anyways, good evening. My name is Mary Reeves, and I've been a proud resident of Desert Heights for the past 10 years. I see some Desert Heights community members out here, and I want to thank you all for coming because it does mean a lot, because we are a private community. We keep to ourselves, so when you do see some people out there that are here to support, right on. Thanks for coming. Before I go on to demographics, by far the most largest community concern is the closure of the Lear Fire Department, number 422. At this time, I invite Jim Thompson to come up and join me from the 29 Palms Fire Department and to give a brief history of Desert Heights and to talk about the huge, huge loss of Fire Station 422.
Good evening, members of the council. Good evening, community members. My name is Jim Thompson. I'm the fire chief for the 29 Palms Fire Department. And 29 Palms Fire Department is one of the unique ones in the state. We're one of the few ones that is governed by a local water district. I'll get into that real quick because I'm sure somebody will ask, well, how the heck did that happen? In the 50s, the water district was formed in 1954. And fire protection in the community of 29 Palms at that time fell under the county fire warden, who was contracting with CDF. In 1958, the county fire warden made the determination that there was not a need to be providing forestry or wildland type fire protection in the 29 Palms community. Informed the community they were moving to Yucca Valley, said if you want to continue to have fire protection in 29 Palms, you're going to have to start paying for it. The citizens went to their only local government at the time, which was the water district, and as a county water district, they had a number of powers that they could invoke, and they chose to form a fire department. And of course, in the early years, it was a volunteer fire department, and since then has grown over time. The way the Desert Heights area wound up as part of the district in 1985, because of changes in the water code, the 29 Palms Water District Board of Directors made the determination that they were going to prohibit the hauling of water outside of their boundaries starting in 1989. There also around that time was what was known as the Desert Heights Improvement Association. A number of those members were Les Peterson, Marion Mays, the Salvinis, and I'm sure there's other ones that I can't think of at the time. Desert Heights Improvement Association started a petition requesting that that area be annexed into the water district, both for the purposes of water and for fire protection. That went through the LAFCO process in the late 80s, and as a result of that annexation, that area became part of the 29 Palms Water District, and all those property owners out there wound up with a 20-year bond on their property. What that paid for, it built a fire station out there, and it put pipes in the ground and hydrants close to every house that existed out there at the time. And it is a very good water system out there. Once the fire station was built initially, from 1990 when that station was finished up till approximately 1999, it was a paid call firefighter station. Local residents, a number of them senior citizens, were the paid call firefighters that responded to that station and got apparatus out. In 1999, it became a 12-hour staff station in the daytime, and we turned it into a 24-hour staff station in 2002. And one of the primary reasons that drove that change to make it a 24-hour staff station, if you remember, in the late 90s, the number of wildfires, even into the early 2000, 2003 time frame, a number of wildfires occurred around here. Insurance companies started tightening their requirements when it came to what they were going to charge you on your homeowner's policy. They used to ask the question, do you have a fire station within 5 miles of your home? And do you have a hydrant within 1,000 feet of your home? Well, they still ask the question, do you have a hydrant within 1,000 feet of your home? But now the question that they're asking is, do you have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week staffed fire station within 5 miles of your home? And that, based on citizens calling us, saying that they were facing higher insurance payments, drove us to try to get that to a 24-hour staff station. We staffed it in 2002. We recognized the need that we needed to raise our special tax, and this is the other thing that's sort of unique about 29 Palms Fire Department, at least in this basin. We operate on a voter-approved special tax. That is our only funding source. We receive no portion of the general tax levy. And that tax at that time was $54 per unit, a unit being a single-family home or a living unit of an apartment complex, or for commercial buildings, it's every 3,000 square feet. And that tax had been in place since 1997. We went out for a vote to increase that in 2004, and that measure failed. We closed the Lear station, went back the following year, and with a different tax measure, we were asking to raise it to $80. no inflation adjuster on that tax measure, and we made a promise to the voters, and this was stated in the ballot language. We said that if it got passed, this from $54 to $80, it would staff 2 fire stations for an estimated 8 years. And we made a promise verbally to the voters, we would not come back for 8 years to ask for an increase. That measure passed. We immediately reopened the Lear Avenue station, and from March of 2005 until June 1st of 2013, we staffed both the downtown fire station and the Lear Avenue fire station. Each station had a 3-person engine company, and plus we had a duty officer covering the district. So we had 7 people daily staffing across those 8 years. Unfortunately, in 2012, we went out for an additional tax measure. We went out in year 7, asking for the increase to take place in year 8. That measure did not pass. That forced us last year to have to make some hard decisions, and based on call volume, unfortunately, the area that gets the most call volume is within the city of 29 Palms. We had to reduce staffing, and therefore, June 1st of last year, we had to close the Lear Avenue Fire Station. Until we solve the revenue issue for the fire department, we're not going to get that station to open back up. And that's frustrating for me. Anything else, Mary?
Very frustrating for me too.
You're talking in 2012? What we asked for was to go from $80 to $120.
Wow. Is that per month or per year?
Per year. $120 per year. And I'll say this, if there was a mistake we made, because when we went from $54 to $80, that was almost a 50% increase. And after 8 years, to ask for another 50% increase, having sat on a flat revenue source, if we made any mistake, it was warning the voters really, really early what kind of increase they were going to face. Because the way we made this work, it wasn't an 8-year plan. When we passed that measure at $80, the only way that was going to work was in the early years, we were spending less than what we were bringing in. We were taking that revenue, putting it into fund balance, knowing that in the last half of those 4 years, we were going to tip the scale and start going the other way and have to take that money out of fund balance. Unfortunately, because of that, we didn't warn the voters that, look, passing this flat revenue source at $80 and saying we won't come back to you for 8 years, the increase that you're going to see after those 8 years is going to be up here. Again, the problem is there should be an inflation adjuster on the measure. I know people don't like inflation adjusters. I'll give you a classic example of an inflation adjuster that works. Part of the funding for the Wonder Valley area, they receive both a portion of the general tax levy, plus they have a special tax in place in Wonder Valley. That measure does have a 3% inflation adjuster on it. It's an issue we face. Yes, sir.
Do any of those parcels also get involved in the CAL FIRE assessment in California for the additional tax?
No parcel inside the 29 Palms Water District boundaries is SRA land. So, no, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Thompson. Yes.
Since the voters rejected the raise for the year, then shouldn't they suffer the consequences?
I'll let you answer that one.
Could you repeat the question so we can all hear what's
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. Since the voters rejected the raise from 80 to 120 to should they suffer the consequences?
They are, they closed.
The community of 29 Palms is suffering the consequences. We have reduced staffing, and fire protection within the 29 Palms community is not at what I consider an adequate staffing level. Give you another example. This $80 per year tax that we're operating on right now, I didn't mention this. That generates approximately $1.2 million a year for us. I'm running 5 people daily on that $1.2 million. I'm doing that with a combination of paid personnel and volunteers. Besides myself, there are 2 paid captains and 2 paid engineers. Each day there is 2 paid personnel on duty, and then there are 3 volunteers on duty each day. And I have a roster of about 28 volunteers, most of whom come from Orange County and LA County, drive up here 1 day a week and stand a 24-hour shift and go back home. Basically, they get reimbursed gas money for doing that.
Does 29 Palms have its own paramedic, fire ambulance?
The 29 Palms area is served by Morongo Basin Ambulance.
But do they have a staff station in 29 Palms?
Yes, they do. They have a staff station in 29 Palms with 2 units.
And could we finish, let's hear from Mary, and then we'll open up for, there are people who have filled out comment cards that want to hear from, and I'm sure there'll be other questions.
Yeah, I would like to add that, it's not just fire calls that the fire department responds to. The greater percentage of it is medical calls. So, I mean, you're taking your lives in your own hands. But off that soapbox, I gave you guys a handout today. If you look up here into the upper left-hand corner where it says Station 422, where it says Station 422, this outlined area, that's basically Desert Heights. Desert Heights is located in the outlined area surrounding 422 and is approximately 32 square miles running from Morongo Road west past Lear Avenue from Amboy to the north to the Marine Base. We are all residential. Some of the community concerns are, of course, the fire department. I've had one lady comment to me that she wants to remain anonymous, but she's lost her home insurance because of the fact that the Lear fire station is closed. Now, I don't get a lot of input from the community because, like I said, we're private people, and people just don't want to. So anyways, another comment was our infrastructure needs an overhaul. Whenever we have an extreme weather event, we lose power for hours at a time. Though the Lear at 2 Mile Road is in city limits, can you guys picture where Lear and 2 Mile meet? It's in city limits. It's the main corridor to Desert Heights. This intersection is very dangerous. It is poorly lit. The street light on the corner shuts off randomly late at night. At least 12 accidents have happened here since the road was paved. I have no data on the times the accidents occurred, but I'd like to add that I was coming home late one night and I was heading west on 2 Mile. And no, I'm sorry, I was coming down Lear. I was going north on Lear. Guy was coming down 2 Mile, and thank God I was far enough back because he just blew that stop sign. If it would have been just a few seconds earlier, he would have hit us. So that's a very dangerous intersection that really needs some attention. Another community concern was people move out and leave trash and abandoned vehicles behind, and the owners don't, if they're rental properties, the owners don't clean them up. There's a road around the dry lake bed by Lear that needs to be graded. Now this lady that commented to me, she's lived in the area for 30 years. She's complained to police and other city officials with no resolve. But that area, when it rains, it floods. And when it floods and after the rains stop, here come the off-roaders. And they just tear it up down there. So what their problem is they have, like, if they want to get furniture delivery or something to that resort, people don't want to deliver there. We don't have a community center, so we have really no sense of community. No gathering place. The Eagles, that's located on 29 Palms Avenue, that's kind of an unofficial meeting place. We have a lot of Desert Heights residents there. And also Indian Trail west of Lear, where the pavement ends, is horrible, needs grading. And Valley Vista has been paved recently, but has potholes, and they've done a very poor job of repaving it. So I guess what the main complaint is our roads out there are terrible. Do you have any questions?
You said population 3,000. Where'd you get the number?
Well, I got the above numbers from a website, but I was stood corrected, and Chief Thompson helped me out with those statistics.
Well, Mary, I'll answer that.
Okay.
That approximately 3,000 number comes from number of meters and improved parcels out there. And in 2010, the fire district, in conjunction with the city, did a fire impact fee study. So there were some population calculations that were done at that time. So it's pretty accurate.
Other questions? Nice.
Oh, I'd like to add that we don't have any community members or community leaders, and we have about 500 registered voters.
So I think I believe what the purpose of this presentation was is representation on the map by Desert Heights. Do you think Desert Heights would benefit from community member in your area to be on the map?
Oh, of course.
And how so?
Well, you know, our voice isn't being heard. You know, I put my little article in the paper every week, but we have no voice out there. So I think we deserve a voice. We have issues and they need to be addressed, but who do we go to? Mm-hmm.
If there are no other questions from the dais, I have a number of comment cards from people from the audience that are about evenly split between concerns about the fire station and the community of Desert Heights in general. So if we could call
Great.
those
And
people.
thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you too for doing that legwork. Really appreciate it. First, Ben Holstrom has filled out a card for Desert Heights representative. Is he here? Hi. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good evening. I've been a resident of Desert Heights since late 2000. I live on Bluegrass Avenue. And the question of how MAC might best represent interests unique to that community is for us to have a representative on the MAC committee. As Mary just explained, we have the same problems as any other residents that you folks represent. Okay, and I'm speaking for myself, but I'd like to offer testimony that when I was doing the census, I was held over. I did the census work for 3 months, and my dog was in my pickup. His head or her head was hanging out the window. And like was explained, the Desert Heights people, they just want to be left alone. Okay, so they would see the dog, they would see census taker, and they would become apprehensive. The first thing I would say is, look, I'm your neighbor, and explain to them why it's important. So spending 3 months out there, I think I probably have a pretty good feel when I offer testimony, including my own beliefs, that we feel that we are in fact disenfranchised. And many people out there, I know it's apple and oranges, they say, well, they even took our fire department away from us. And we have every reason to have a representative just like you members do. And 32 square miles, that is a large area. And actually we probably have a few more unique problems like flooding and grading and whatnot. So I'd like to thank you very much for listening to me, and please consider having a representative in that area. And the last thing is, people think that we're paying taxes out there, and they're thinking, what the heck are we getting for our taxes? Okay, you know, we get police services, you know, the sheriff will come out. Other than that, why are we paying taxes? We're being taxed without representation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Could we see a show of hands? Who all here is from Desert Heights? How many people from? Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming. We have Paul Meadow. Hi. Want to speak? Volunteers for the fire department. Okay, I have a card. Do have a card for you too, Ed, if you want to take the podium. Yeah, thank you for coming.
My name is Ed Ballarat. I'm a resident of Desert Heights. I've been out here since 1969 part-time. I own my house. I'm not a renter. I am retiring in Desert Heights. I am a former engineering manager. I have done a lot of cost trade-offs. I have dealt in negotiations. First point, Geico will insure for 7 miles radius from a fire station. State Farm will do it 10 miles, and Kurt, I had made that in the city meeting, and Kurt followed up and spoke to Bob Dunn. You can be insured for 10 miles. The speaker that came from another insurance company said they do not cover on dirt roads. I have a person that owns a place next to me 2 miles from the downtown station whose insurance was canceled because he's on a dirt road. Now, State Farm and Geico will inspect your house to see what it looks like before they will insure. Now, I've done a bunch of, as an engineer, I was an analyst first and an engineering manager, I analyze the stuff and I research stuff. The stuff that I don't have enough copies, I didn't expect this many people. The stuff that I have given to the board members is all extractable from public information. I'm just going to hit a few of the pages, but on page 4 of the handout I gave you, this is an excerpt from the former city manager of 29 Palms. He took and did a cost analysis, and he got 7 years worth of back financial data, and the next few pages covers that. On page 5, it talks about Proposition H. The inner bullet down says adding 2 personnel cross-staff truck at station 421, which is downtown. Well, this failed. Downtown got a cross-truck station, and we got a closed station. 15 years ago, you had 60 volunteers. That fire station on Lear was the community center. If you read some of the stuff from Betty on her last thing, she talks about her husband, the get-togethers, the bringing of the food together. I own 2 houses in Desert Heights, and I'm in escrow for a 3rd one now. Yes, I own property in 29 Palms. I've been a property owner up here since 1970. I've also had cancer 3 times. I was a case on. I've got issues with Agent Orange. I got breathing issues. I want to have an ambulance handy. When this town of 29 Palms, downtown, has a medical thing, you get Morongo Basin ambulance that's 500 feet from the fire station and a fire truck that goes out to that house. So you get response of 2 people. If you're at Desert Heights, you wait 15 minutes. We need to have that 2-man staff put back in Lear. That's my opinion. We have graduates and we have students at Copper Mountain Colleges. These people are much more qualified. You can get up to 15 units for work experience. We need to have 2 people put in Lear, augmented by college students. Page 6, 52% voted against that issue. Further back in the package, they appointed a citizens committee to look at it. Well, the people were handpicked. The person who set up the school at Copper Mountain College was excluded from the crew. They picked 3 people that were impacted by the closure of Lear. The chief pushed a 76.5% pay raise. He failed with a 50%. You got a citizens committee that approved it. There's the copies in there that have come from the formal meetings of the water board. That's on page 6. Page 7. This is also from the city managers. It shows where they've got a shortfall in January 2013 of $2.5 million unfunded. That's why there's a problem between the city and the fire department. The city doesn't want to get hooked for $2.5 million of money owed. If you turn to page 8, this one is really telling. The cost of living change, the bottom number on the right, 11.24 since 2006 to 2011. The fire department salaries went up 47.3%. The cost of living went up 11%. My company retirement has no cost of living. I, like you, Social Security, I got 3% out of the last 4 years, total 3%. The contract for the fires, and I have got the contracts. I have proof of information. I have got copies of the contracts. The firemen used to get a 3% cost of living raise and 2.5%. City employees got 1%. The water board, employees is tied to the cost of living. We need to do cost control. And it goes on and on that subject. We go back to page 10 on it. 10 talks about these volunteers. Well, they cut from 4 on-duty volunteers to 3 on-duty volunteers. And it cost us 4% more for 25% less people on duty. There's a copy of the memo with the chief address, because I brought it up and I said, that is BS, basically. Why did you reduce your staff by 25% and increase costs by 4%? There's a copy of the memo there that the chief responded. You know, the chief's MOA, his pay in 2010, his pay in 2013 is 25% higher than it was in 2010. These are numbers that anyone can get. It only costs a few dollars to go to the water board and get copies. And you fill out a request for the information. You can ask for the chief's MOA. You can ask for the union MOA. You can ask for the same thing on the water board. The water board people are being held to cost of living. The city is 1%. The fire department isn't. The cost has gone up. I would like to see Lear get reopened. Oh, the last page on this is a chief thing asking for $975,000 to increase the size of the Lear station, not the Lear station, but the downtown station, because he's got 2 more people there. Put those people out in Lear. Let's look at it for Desert Heights. This is where I am going to be spending the rest of my life, is in Desert Heights. And as obvious, I'm a bit of a fire burn. You know, I'm a manager, former manager, engineering manager, an analyst, and so I do my research, and it's all here with backup memos to verify everything I have said, and it goes on. I thank you. I've run out of time probably. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Bobby Flint?
Hi, I'm Bobby Flint, and I live up on Yucca Mesa, but I am here to also support Desert Heights community because they're paying taxes just like all of us. They're part of our community, and they should have a representation on the diocese. So that is why I'm up here to speak, because I think every community within this valley here for the Big Mac should have one representative on the diocese. And no community should be excluded. Thank you.
Ray, is it White?
That's me, Mike. When I filled that card out, I've been in Desert Heights for all of 2 weeks, and I'd like to yield that time to somebody that knows what's going on.
Oh, how sweet.
Did you want to say something?
Paul.
It's Paul.
All right, so I've been living out in Desert Heights for about 4 years now, or actually 3 years. I lived in Wonder Valley prior to that. I owned my home over in the vicinity of Ed. Going off of the issues going on with the fire station, I'm originally from Arizona. Our fire department is primarily made up of volunteers from our local community who all respond immediately to the fires. from their homes. So one of the things out here, there's a lot of Marines and sailors out here that are obviously from all around the country. But many of these guys already, we go through the training with CLS, Combat Lifesaver, different first aid programs. So we already got a lot of the basic skills and necessities to this. There's a lot of guys in my peer group, as well as different people out in the community that already live here that would love to become volunteers for this because they want to serve their community. They want to put forth the time to better themselves and do better things for the community. Why not use them? From my understanding, there used to be as many as 60 volunteers within the community that handled the fires out in this area. Why isn't it still that way? I know one of the things that was addressed was senior citizens were on that well off. What's it take to drive a truck? You know what I mean? And then you have the younger members who are able to handle the hoses. And I mean, all due respect to the fire station and the jobs that they do. But for a lot of these guys, whereas if you just need extra hands to do a job and to provide those guys that, hey, they're just answering phones. They're just getting a truck to the fire where everybody else can take over the job that they need to do. I mean, for the most part, I know a few Marines within my peer group, as well as sailors that they've already got their EMT certs and stuff like that, where they want to continue maintaining their EMT training, because once they join the Marine Corps, whether for me, I used to be diesel mechanic before the Marine Corps and working with ranches. I joined the infantry, so that doesn't really go along with what I used to do. So a lot of these guys want to stay in top of what their training was, and they love to serve the community. Not speaking on just Marine Corps' behalf, like that's not my job, but I'm talking from my peer group and well off from other locals out in the community that are civilians in the area, that they would do this job. Like any way they could provide help to the community. So that's all I got to say. Thank you for your time.
Any other, I don't have any more cards. Were there any other comments from the community on, and I think it's kind of two issues that we're talking about, is the Lear Fire Station and representation in Desert Heights, and they're not, they are related, obviously. Any other comments on that before I turn it back to the dais? Okay. Any other, do you have, I'll bring it back to the dais. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who would answer this, but what I'd like to know is what is the status for Desert Heights in relationship to the city of 29 Palms? Are you their sphere of influence?
Prior to the community service review that LAFCO did in 2012, a portion of Desert Heights was within the city's sphere of influence. Now that, as part of that community service review that LAFCO did in 2012, they expanded the city's sphere of influence to match that of the water district. So all of Desert Heights is now within the city's sphere of influence.
The city's sphere of influence. And has 29 Palms talked about annexing them?
I don't believe that the city of 29 Palms has considered annexing the Desert Heights area.
But they did ask for a sphere of influence.
Actually, no, they did not ask for the increase.
Not an increase, I'm talking about a sphere of influence over Desert Heights.
No, they never asked for it. The LAFCO placed this sphere of influence.
In order for LAFCO to place a sphere of influence over an unincorporated community, the town has to request it.
That is not the case.
And
I was there at the community service review, and LAFCO
did the people fight the SOI?
Actually, at least one council member did.
When council, what about the people in Desert Heights?
Not that I'm aware of.
Nobody fought it.
The reason for the sphere of influence increase is LAFCO wanted to better define what they consider is the 29 Palms community. And now both the water district and the cities, even though the boundaries aren't the same, their total sphere of influence are identical. And that is something that that LAFCO is being forced to do by some of the changes in their regulations.
But right now, you are under the sphere of influence of 29 Palms.
The Desert Heights area is in
Desert Heights.
Yes.
Do the people want to be annexed?
I don't believe so.
They might not want to be annexed, and why didn't they fight the SOI?
I can't answer that. They keep to themselves. That's a lot of it. They want to be left alone.
I very much understand people wanting to be left alone. Yucca Mesa recently went through stopping an SOI with the town of Yucca Valley. And when the people were woken up, took a lot of work on a group of people to go house to house and talk to each and every one of them. But we did it. We stopped the town and said, we do not want an SOI. And there were a lot of numerous reasons as to why we didn't want to be part of the town. And those would be the same reasons that Desert Heights would have the same choice.
I'm going to respectfully disagree because I believe the issues that Yucca Mesa seem to feel that they faced are entirely different than what's occurring in 29 Palms.
And we also hear there no...
I don't think there was a need for Desert Heights to fight a sphere of influence increase like you seem to think there was a need for Yucca Mesa to do that.
Without community leaders in Desert Heights.
My reasoning is that the Morongo Basin Municipal Advisory Council is for the unincorporated areas.
One other thing on it, the city did not want to take over the Desert Heights area because of the cost for road maintenance. That was one of the things that one of the former city managers had told me, that the cost to improve the roads and take it over would not be cost effective, but they increased tax base, and that they've gone through several city managers, so that was one of the things that have been told to me, and that is just secondhand information.
Right, but they still have. You still have a sphere of influence, and you're part of 29 Palms.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm only owned property ever in my life for 40 years, and I'm not out in Desert Heights, and I want to...
Could you speak from the podium? I'm sorry, can you hear this?
Where do my taxes go that I'm paying on 3 properties if they don't go for the roads and they don't go for emergency services? What am I paying for? You know, I don't get it. To me, it's like, oh, we have to have these special tax. What is happening? Where's the money going? You know, the road potholes are being fixed and then they're broken in 1 week. I mentioned in my own community that I'm a NASCAR guy. Dude, they had that racetrack, last week's racetrack came up and hit a car. They had that race going in 12 minutes because they had some Bondo made for asphalt that worked, and it had 43 cars going 200 plus miles an hour on it. My point is that everything's so expensive. Why aren't we looking at why is it expensive? It's expensive because people aren't doing it right, and it's being done over and over and over again badly. You know, where are the taxes going if it's not going for roads and emergency services? I don't understand. And that's, I mean, I'm paying a lot of taxes every year, and I can't even get my road graded. So, I mean, I don't understand. I guess I'm new to this whole new game, and I need to learn the process.
Beyond our purview.
Huh?
That's not within our jurisdiction. We'd love to be able to answer your questions there, but we can't.
Do you know where your taxes go for the property you own?
Well, if you look on your tax bill, there's a section of it that will itemize what some of the funds are.
Right, and I've seen that, I can read that, but I'm wondering where does all the other millions of dollars go?
Well, you came here on a road. We're sitting in a county building. We have police, fire, and highway patrol protect the area. There's all kind of public safety expenses.
Right.
The courts.
Well, for so many unincorporated areas, for people who do live out in dirt roads and they're having problems with stuff, it just, to me, it seems that it would be an issue that would be in the forefront of people who are wanting to be left alone, but yet living in a community that is scattered. You know?
Part of the problem is, and if you don't mind me answering, even though it may be out of line, I hope not. Shirley's giving me the hairy eyeball. When people live far apart from each other, their money is spread apart. A water district that has to lay pipeline for a neighborhood where people are 2 miles apart has to lay a lot of pipe between houses. It's very expensive. When people are in a high rise, that same pipe is serving the entire building.
And yet I still pay taxes and I have 2 wells, but I'm the one that maintains those wells and I do it very well. So that's my, you know, I
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, David.
I've got a question, and it's probably directed towards Ed. It seems to be the major issue out in the area is the water district owning the fire department or running a fire department. What would you expect to get from another member on the MAC from your area as far as help in that area? It seems like it's a negotiation issue between the fire department and the city.
I guess, you know, I'd like to kind of throw my hat in. So one of my thoughts is, you know, where I've been an engineering manager, I went through a 90% downsizing, and I did everything in my power to maximize the dollars for manpower and to support the manpower. And if we were to start doing something in cooperation with Copper Mountain College, and, you know, to push that issue of them getting credits for working in the fire station, and as he pointed out, some Marines, they could get some college credit for working part-time in that fire station. And even if it's 12 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, you know, it's more of a scheduling nightmare, but, you know, you'd have people available at nighttime that are off work that could stand part-time hours and get something going to do something thinking out of the box. I've done that a number of times. I got a couple of patents pending, and these are things where you're thinking out of the box. And I would like to do that and bring some good management stuff, but you need some push because the county has a stake in this, so the county might be able to say, hey, let's have a county city water board meeting, a sit down, and let's look at this thing in the best interest of everyone. Like I said, with the Morongo Basin ambulance downtown, that 2-man that team is manned by
I'm going to cut you short right there. We're not going to be able to finish, and I need to hear from people who have not had a chance to speak yet. We'll take 2 more. Mr. Fike, if we can hear from you. I'm sorry, Mr. Fike, if we can hear from you. We'll take 1 more question, and we still have Wonder Valley roads to look at.
I'll be short. I see Desert Heights as being somewhat in the same situation of Yucca Mesa as far as population and possible interaction between the county and the incorporated city. Also, I mean, this is coming out of left field, is boards are usually odd numbered. So I'd be the question, can you do a 10-member board? You'd have to study that because they almost always like to have odd number boards so that if there's ever a disagreement that they have an odd number, so they have a majority. So that's the avenue I was thinking of. But I'm thinking, from what I can see, if the population is around 3,000 and it's 32 square miles, that's pretty much like Yucca Mesa.
Thank you.
With all due respect, you know, I'm all into volunteers. I volunteer for a lot of different things myself. But with these volunteers, who's going to supervise them? You know, they need, you've got people's lives, you know, in their hands, so we need supervisors for them, you know what I mean?
Thank you. We're going to have to move on now.
Mike, can I have one final comment?
One wrap up, thank you.
Concerning the representation for Desert Heights, you got over 500 registered voters in Desert Heights. They don't get to elect city council members, they get to elect a county supervisor, just like Wonder Valley, just like Yucca Mesa. They have the same problems that these other unincorporated areas have: road maintenance, lack of street signs, which is very important to public safety responders. And by the way, Desert Heights has 2 operating commercial solar farms in Desert Heights. They know what it's like to have those things built. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and all who spoke. If we can move on now, we want to hear from about Wonder Valley's tax initiative for road maintenance. And I know that Starlene Javier, is it Javier? Is she here? Hi. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for waiting too.
Council members and residents, and believe me, I feel for everyone with all the problems we're having. We've been through all of them. I'm here tonight to ask the members to help me go to the Board of Supervisors to pass an initiative for a road tax increase on a special assessment. Back in 1972, we went and we had a special tax assessment of $10 to do our road maintenance. We have 178 miles of roads to maintain, and that's only the dirt roads. That $10 tax went up until 1997, and we increased it with the voters up to a $15 with a 2.5% increase after the first year. That money helped us to purchase a road grader for the road maintenance, and we figured that the $15 with the increase was going to get us through longer than it did. In 2000, we couldn't afford to pay for the grader anymore, so we had to take our road maintenance and make him part-time. And in doing so, we were able to pay for the grader. So in the meantime, we stayed at $15 from 1997 up until now. Excuse me. Well, you know, with the cost of living and the cost of services and supplies and maintenance and salaries, that just doesn't go anywhere. So what we're asking at this time is to do another special assessment. That would go, let's see, we have 5,799 parcels. We have 1,740 that are government owned. We have a 7% deficiency in tax payments. So that gives us about 3,777 parcels. In order for us to have a full-time road operator, pay for the capital gains and improvements, all the services, supplies, his benefits, his medical package, we need to increase our assessment for $55 a year, excuse me, for the first year. What we have done, we tried to pass a tax, or we took a survey, excuse me, back in October. And we had 67% of the people that lived on the dirt roads were in favor of it. The ones that were not in favor, excuse me, were the ones that lived on paved roads, which we have Amboy, Highway 62, Pinot Mountain, Godwin. So we went through and we're trying to do a rezoning. So we're forming a Zone A with the board's approval that removes all of them from the new tax increase or tax assessment. We're still paying $15 throughout the whole valley, but the new ones that get benefits from the graded roads is going to be increased by $55 the first year. We're going to take it down to $30 the second year, third year, and on it will be a 2.5% increase. Excuse me, the first year that will give us, with the $15 that we already pay on our taxes, and with the special assessment, that will give us $277,000, in which we need to get rid of our grader. It's got almost 1,000 hours over its hourly limit. It's almost at 13,000 now. We're going to trade that in and purchase another one. Going to hire a full-time road operator. Our roads have been so bad with no grading, and the grading that we've had to do over the past 30 years, we're down, 3 feet below level. We need to rebuild them. We need to bring in materials. That we're going to attempt to do at 10 to 20 miles a year with our tax assessment and with the private contractor bringing in materials. We're hoping that we can get this passed. If it doesn't pass, we're not going to be able to pay our road operator. We're already $15,000 to $20,000 behind yearly for the past 5 years. So we're kind of, in a pickle. If we can't do something, we're going to end up without road grading. We can keep him on for another month after the fiscal year, but I'm hoping that the people understand we need it. Just like to get the fire department down there for medical aids. We have elderly people that if these roads aren't maintained, they have 2 and 3 feet of sand, they can't get out of their homes, they can't get to doctor appointments, they can't do grocery shopping. Their in-home care workers can't get to them. We have numerous problems, just like everybody else does. And I don't think that $55 for the first year is enough to hurt anybody. I mean, give up a carton of cigarettes, there you've got the whole year. Just like paying fire tax. If you don't have it, you don't get the services. You lose people. That's the most important thing. You're taking a chance on losing people's lives. And the same thing with our road maintenance. If we can't get to them, if they're having a heart attack and the fire equipment and medical equipment gets buried in the sand, they're going to die. I don't need the service. I have a couple of properties, but I'll be darned, I'm going for it. I want to take care of the rest of the residents in the valley. And I'm hoping that the board can assist us taking it to the Board of Supervisors. And thank you very much. If there's any questions.
You're looking for our support to encourage the Board of Supervisors to approve the measure?
Yes, for the formation of Zone A. That's cheap to save a life. So, the same thing with our roads. We need it.
Would there be any fiscal advantage to the county to increase your tax out there to take care of your own roads?
You mean for the county themselves to come out?
Yes.
We did a contractor's pricing on that, and it was a whole lot more than what it was with the special district employee.
No, what I meant was, would it be any advantage to the district? Would they save any money by you doing your own road maintenance? Do they do any out there at all?
Special districts is the only one that does road maintenance.
Only one.
Because they're the ones that are liable if there's any damage, utility lines, telephone poles, anything that happens, the county, our zone, is liable for all the payments. If somebody else were to do their own roads and anything happened, that person would be liable. A cut telephone line is $2,500. So it's expensive. Yes, ma'am?
I live in an unincorporated area, and I do live on a dirt road, and the money that is on my property tax goes to the county, and they take care of my roads. And you're telling me that the residents in your area, the amount of money on their property tax goes to you?
No, ma'am. It goes to special districts.
And special districts issues your money? I guess I don't understand your.
Okay,
you're
it's the
saying
same
that
thing.
You're covering
your county,
you're
we're
covering
special districts. Okay, special districts, it's an unincorporated area that has a
Right, but
CSA.
we don't have our own grader. You have your own grader.
Yes, we have our own grader.
How did you do that?
We bought it
They
with
formed
tax
it.
money.
With tax money, so you got your tax money.
No, how do you get your money from?
Yeah, you got your tax
From
money.
taxes.
How do you
Remember
get-
the $10 that we did a special assessment back in '72, then a 15 in '97. That 15 in '97 helped us purchase that grader.
They increased their taxes on a special road.
They formed a special
Yeah.
district for road maintenance.
Yes.
With the county, they formed a special district, just like there are special water districts in the county.
Yeah, the county has fire, special districts in our area has road maintenance and park and recreation.
So if you're getting, are you getting money from the county? The money that you're being taxed for, that you get taxed every year for? And I get taxed every year $15. We tried to get the thing increased and the people in Flamingo Heights wouldn't do it. So
Well,
how are
it's
you getting the money away from the
by
county of
voting.
San Bernardino?
No, we have a special, the assessment is a special assessment that we've requested from the voters.
I guess it just shows you that every community out here.
Oh, they're all different, yes.
They all have their own little
It is different.
indigent things going on.
Right,
I mean,
right.
really?
You have to, it took a lot of time for special districts to go through this and find out how to do it. And after we did our first one and got our fire tax, because we had no 24-hour fire department either. And that passed for us in 2007, and then Lake Havasu
So you
followed
really
us
have
and
to
did it.
talk your residents into it.
Yes.
It's not a county.
No, it's,
I'm
yeah.
not arguing with you, I don't mean.
Oh,
to
no,
do
you,
that.
no, I don't take it that way,
But you have
Mary.
to sell it to your residents.
Yes, you
The
do.
county could really care
Yes.
less.
But the county doesn't. It's not theirs. I mean, the county for our area is fire and the paved roads. And everything else out there is special districts. So yeah, it is. It's a lot of selling, a lot of talking, you know, a lot of figures have to go on. It takes a long time. Any other questions, please? Yes?
I got a question about, they bought the grader for that $58 back in $15 a parcel.
In 97, yes.
Okay, now who made the decision to loan it out to Johnson Valley when he hit that?
Well, we didn't loan it to Johnson Valley. We rented it.
Rented it?
Johnson Valley and even Landers, when theirs was down and we sent ours there, they had to pay for it.
Why are we
Daily.
renting out a grader that we're using on our roads? Why are we wearing it out over there?
They paid for it the same
What
way.
shape is that grader in now?
Well, it's 1,000 hours past
Okay,
time.
does it need new engine, does it need new transmission, or do you need a whole brand new grader?
Well, we're gonna want to purchase a used grader. We can't afford a new grader. This one we bought was used.
You got to use grader, is it wrong?
County specs on any piece of equipment, like the grader, says 12,000 hours of operation.
What happens after that?
Then it starts breaking down with major mechanical failures that cost more than the grader's worth. At least this way, we have a chance of selling it. Someone else can buy it, and they can fix it, personal at the auction, and it's out of the county's hands because we can't afford to pay.
When you just loan it out and rent it out again.
Who has a brand new one?
I say, when you get another used one, you're going to rent it out to the
No.
other places again, aren't you?
No, and we weren't renting it out. That was another one of our districts that their grader broke down and they needed assistance. We helped them. They paid for it. They reimbursed our operator, they reimbursed the time on the grader, they reimbursed services and supplies, and they reimbursed fuel. And it was only for like 2 weeks. So, you know, you can't say you can't help another district when they're in your special district series. You can't.
Take one more question.
It sounds like you were really familiar with the whole process. You spoke about the wording was already in place. And I'm looking at the county supervisor and their process. They're going to have their own attorney to look at the wording and all of that. Is that where you could be getting some pushback?
Well, that's where it has to go to. From here, it needs to go to the Board of Supervisors, then it needs to go to County Council. And they make sure, make sure everything is legal.
Okay, so now the wording that you're proposing, is that set in stone? Or do you have a legal counsel that look at it?
It's what's going into the Board of Supervisors on the 17th for a resolution, which has to be then signed by County Council at the same time.
Who wrote it, Star?
Special districts.
Yeah, I mean, who in special districts?
Jeff Rigney.
So you already have, it's already on the agenda for the 17th?
Yes.
I see. So what you're really looking, you like to have a letter from us?
I would just
a
like
motion from us.
support from the supervisors regarding the matter. Yes. And that I need support from you.
And is there anyone from Wonder Valley who is opposing this? Opposing?
I doubt it. Well, not here.
Well, not here, but I'm sure that there are a few.
Ahmed?
Yeah, I need clarification. The meeting on Saturday that we had talked about this special assessment on the property. Star, if I heard you right, you're changing this now to registered voters.
No, what I had told you, Alma, was that when we did the survey, we sent out 2 surveys, one to the property owners and one to the registered voters. And my understanding was that the registered voters were lower and the property owners had a higher percentage return, and Pam said that was backwards. So it was the registered voters who had the higher percentage.
But the people at the meeting, several spoke for it should be on property. there is confusion. I would like to have something in writing even before it goes to the Board of Supervisors so that people in Wonder Valley understand this.
Well, they should have understood by the surveys that we sent out. Everything was on there. And that wasn't a vote, and a lot of people thought they were voting for it at that time, and that was just a survey. For you to write your opinions back, for you to give commentaries, and I mean, just because there's no taxation without representation here. If it goes to a registered voter, that is representation. And that's what special districts wants to do.
Well, then it's not an assessment, it's a tax.
It's a special assessment.
Special assessments, from my understanding of what I've seen, assessments are always to property owners, not to registered voters. A tax, wait a minute.
No, it's okay.
A special tax is to registered voters, and a special tax takes a 2/3 majority vote.
Yes.
Whereas an assessment, if you call it an assessment,
Well,
it
then
means
it
you're
would be a special
assessing
tax.
real property that people
It would be a special tax because she says at 67%. Or
Then it's a
over,
special tax.
over 2/3.
It's a special tax.
Yes.
I mean,
Excuse me. I stand corrected.
yeah, I mean, if I can talk to the board about this, as a property owner myself and a person who has gone through these in Morongo Valley, I think whether special districts thinks it's a better idea to go for a tax where you have to get 2/3 majority vote and not to the property owners who are the people that are really the people who are affected by the road, having the roads done, you know, I don't support that. I mean, I think it should be something, an assessment that goes to property owners. Because voters can be renters and they have no vested interest and they're not going to be paying it anyway because it's going to be on the tax bill of the people that own the property. So to me, I don't know whether it didn't get explained to special districts correctly or what, but it just seems, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I know I'm a property owner and I voted for it both ways during the survey. But if I wanted to rent out my property as a property owner and I got a tax increase, I would pass my increase on to my renters.
Right, but you know how much harder it is to get a 2/3 majority vote on a tax than it is to get an assessment, which is only 50% plus one.
That's what we're asking you for, actually. That's why we're here today. Because this thing has gotten so convoluted that nobody knows what the rules is. Nobody knows what they're voting for. They don't know if it's a survey or if they're voting. It's so messed up. We need help. We really need help.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes.
But I know that, but you say you don't know. The county knows, because the county operates these special districts and they have rules and regulations.
Well, we had one representative come and visit us in Morongo Valley last October, and she informed us of how it would be, and it didn't end up being that way, and it's been switched 2 or 3 times since then. Nobody knows what's going on, and we have, I believe, a month to solve the problem before we lose our road service. I can't even believe we're in this situation, to be honest with you.
And no, I explained to you guys on Saturday that his time has been extended till the end of August, no matter what.
We should have done this back in October. We shouldn't even be in this. It shouldn't be a matter of 4 weeks or 8 weeks. We should have done this 6 months ago.
But you had to give the survey card.
Yeah, you need to address the council. Address the council.
Address the council, please.
You're talking about the survey cards you've done on.
Yeah.
It wasn't a waste of time to start with. It said very plainly on there, survey. It doesn't say ballot, it said survey. You were given a meeting in October, you used the website, you went through the plan. Yeah, there's been some changes here and there. But the bottom line was, the property owners for the assessment took the first to it. When you went through and asked all these property owners, probably 80% of them don't live out there, they didn't want it. The voters had a higher percentage of saying yes, people actually live there. Because if you don't grade these roads, if you don't brush these roads, you ain't gonna travel these roads. I've lived out here a lot of years, and And I know what it's like those major floods.
We're in complete agreement. But my problem is that this is a convoluted system, and nobody understands what's going on.
And I'll give you that. But if we don't do something, you're not gonna get anything done for at least another year.
I haven't talked to one person who doesn't want to do this. I haven't talked to one person who doesn't want to improve the roads and keep the maintenance. And I haven't even heard one person complain about how much money it is. The complaint is, it's this amount, it's this amount, it's this amount. We're gonna vote this way, we're gonna survey this. It's ridiculous. Nobody knows what's going on.
Okay, here's the amount. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
No, we don't even need to go through those numbers. It's real quick.
You need to address the diet. Please address it here. We need to make a decision. We're out of time, and we're not sure what you need or if what you're asking for is what the county needs to know. So we'd be premature to vote at this point.
Is Pam here today, Star?
No, she's sick. She couldn't make it.
Elizabeth, is Pam going to be your next meeting? Elizabeth Carmen? Is Pam going to be here at the next meeting?
Yes, Pam, wait a minute.
The 14th, July 14th?
Yes, July.
Well, do we have enough time, Star, if we were to have Pam present to help clarify perhaps that?
You can call her and ask her. She planned on having the resolution accepted by the Board of Supervisors this month, mailing the ballots out at the end of the month, and having them due back at the end of next month.
At the end of June?
End of July.
July, okay.
Mailing them at the end of June, return the end of July.
Okay. So would we have enough time if we waited for Pam to be with us on the 14th?
You'd have a week before they're due back.
It's too bad she's not here tonight.
I think we need to postpone any decisions here until after we've heard Pam Vandervoort.
Our issue is that I think we support the people of Wonder Valley. We'd like them to get the road maintenance that's needed. We are not clear on what we're voting on.
Okay.
We can't vote
I
on what we
understand what you're
don't
saying.
know exactly what it is. So we need to table any, we don't have a motion anyway, but we need to table any action until the next meeting, if we can do that. Yeah. We can, but we won't be meeting as a board. So yes, sir. It will be the second Monday in July.
That only gives us a week before they're due back.
As a homeowner.
Can we move the meeting up a week, the back meeting a week earlier?
We have the woman that they're talking to about Pam. She is in charge of Special Districts roads. Pam Vandervoort will be here. The committee can meet. The committee can submit a draft. We can draft a motion for us to consider at the next meeting. That's what I would recommend. Other than that, I don't see how we can't vote.
What committee, the road committee?
Yes, road committee. Yes, sir.
No, for the.
I just wondered if you're all clear that means you give us 1 week to vote.
We can't vote on what we don't know what we're voting on exactly.
You guys aren't clear, so how can we be?
Well, that's what we're asking for.
We would like to support you.
We don't know. We hear her, we hear you guys. It's like, well, you guys don't know, so what are we gonna support you? We want you to have what you want. How's that? Yeah, but we don't know what you're doing, and you don't know, so we don't know.
And no, all that we can offer in the best of sense is a recommendation, and that's all. The more important recommendation is coming from the citizens. So we are representing you on a volunteer basis. We'll provide what help we can from the next meeting. I would say we don't want to derail anything, certainly, and we don't want it we don't want to cause any delays. But this is our choice.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you too. We'll see you next month. Yeah. Well, things do need to be brought sooner. Whatever you want to submit to us in the interim, we'll be happy to distribute. We're going to do a lightning round of reports. Okay. Can we start down the table with?
Well, I'm kind of thankful that we don't have any road grading issues, because I grade my own road. And, it is kind of difficult in some of these small communities, I understand, but sometimes you've got to bite the bullet and do it yourself.
I live in Justice Street and they've never graded my road.
No,
this is not community talkback, sorry.
But anyway, let me get to the community report for Pioneer Town. On Friday the 13th, there's going to be a bake sale fundraiser in Pioneer Town Post Office. What they're doing is one of our local residents that lives in Pikes Canyon had a very expensive helicopter ride for her husband, which didn't help, and she's kind of stuck with a pretty good sized medical bill. So anyway, we're doing a fundraiser on the 13th. Starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, if you can possibly stop by and pick up a donut, pie, cake, we'd appreciate it. On July the 5th, they're still scheduled to do the Shodio in Pioneer Town. That's another activity that kind of comes back from the 60s. They're kind of bringing back a lot of the old things that happened in Pioneer Town. Some of the old movies are being shown at the post office, or at the Red Dog. And on July the 5th, they're going to do what they call a Shodio. Stick horse racing, there's going to be clowns, trick roping, and then the gunfighters at 2:30. So if you can stop by and support that, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sounds like fun. Okay, Yucca Mesa, real quick. I want to announce that Yucca Mesa Elementary School has achieved the highest academic growth in the Morongo Unified School District. They're #1. So we really congratulate. I've also been told by Rick Sayers that there's really only one thing going on at YMIA, and that is that the radio club is having a 3-day event that they call Field Day, where they set up antennas and talk to people around the world. And it goes from 3 p.m. on June 27 until 11 a.m. on June 29. I have another one here for you master composters. If you're interested in permaculture classes at Copper Mountain College, you can. Copper Mountain College is putting together a program, and you can look at it on pkersey at cmccd.edu. Anyway, that's it for Yucca Mesa.
Hi, Mark Lundquist from Joshua Tree, and I'll forego any of the community activities that are going on and make it short. Basically, last month we had a land use meeting, and the topic was a retail formula for downtown Joshua Tree. We had a packed house. We had opinions either way, and we considered a lot of those. We came to the conclusion that we need some county help on describing to us what exactly is involved in forming that and how we go about requesting information from the county in as far as procedures go. I believe that Mike has put in a request to have a county representative either come to a land use committee meeting or a board meeting here in Joshua Tree. We also had a request that maybe we could do this at night. We had a lot of people in the audience that couldn't come to a morning or an afternoon meeting, so we're going to consider that. So with that, I think we're still waiting for the county to respond to a request for an individual to guide us in our direction for downtown retail formula.
We have requested a planner from Land Use Services to come and speak about a form of the retail ordinance for Joshua Tree. We have not heard, we have not had a confirmation of that. Mr. Paul, you'd like to weigh in on that?
Supervisor Ramos, request that someone from Land Use Services come out and speak.
Thank you. We can't ask for more than that. We will hope to then that they will follow up with at our next meeting.
Max Rossi from Wonder Valley. We had our meeting on Saturday, June 7th, and we debated the same issue that was presented here today concerning the assessments for the roads. And as you can see, it's not an easy issue. And so we were really hoping that Pam would be here tonight. That was the idea. And it's disappointing that she did not show, well, she was not able to be here because she's apparently ill. So you know the rest. The other issue that was raised at the meeting is the issue of the vicious feral animals that are out in the desert. Continues to be a problem there, and we raised that earlier. Also, the Wonder Valley Park, the issue of maintenance there continues to be, needs to be addressed. And finally, there was a concern about the speed limits on the dirt roads out in Wonder Valley. There was a request that if we could do something to lower the speed limit, but it is apparently set at 55 miles per hour, and so that's very difficult. And it's also very, very dusty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike Lipsis Landers. We have, I will just forego any community announcements to say that we do obviously have an opening on the board. If you have an interest, if you live in the Joshua Tree area or the area extending from Joshua Tree all the way to the 29 Palms border, which would include Desert Heights, I'd encourage you to let us know of your interest.
Hi, I'm Gail Swart from Morongo Valley. We had a very successful casino night last Saturday. We raised a lot of money for our fire department. And I hear all the issues, and I know a lot of them have to do with funding for the services we want, whether it's road clearing or a fire department. And I just want to say I've been having to do a lot of research from Morongo Valley on this, and everything just costs so much money right now that it's just a fact of life. And I think a lot of us who moved here 30 years ago remember how it was when we first moved here, and things just aren't the same, and I think we're all going to have to kind of step up to the plate. And if we want services, we're going to have to put something into it.
I got it. Well, Larry Parrott with Flamingo Heights. The only thing we got going on is that supposedly, I talked to the gentleman that operates Caltrans for this district, this whole area out here. They're going to increase the shoulder widths on 247, and it starts 1.5 miles from 62 and goes for 20 miles. It's supposed to be a two-phase project, and they're going to do both sides of the road, 8 foot wide, and it'll be dug up and blacktop. And it's supposed to start the middle of June. It's totally funded. The only issue they had was right-of-way, and they seem to have attained all the right-of-ways for that specific run of road. So it's supposed to start, they said. It's been apparently an ongoing deal for the last 10 years, I guess. Now, it's a start, but it just depends what happens.
I'm Mary Helen Tuttle. I'm from the Copper Mountain Mesa area, and locally for the community center is I'm disappointed that everyone from Desert Heights left after they said their piece. But Ed, and I want to tell you, Ed, that we are on Winters Road, and if you guys need a home, we'll gladly let you meet there. We probably take care of a lot of your families anyway for our USDA food giveaway. So Copper Mountain Mesa Community Association and our center on Winters Road welcomes you. Okay? And also, you can feel safe. Morongo Basin Ambulance is storing several of their ambulances at our defunct firehouse there. So we'll cover you. Don't you worry. And then, as on a committee for homelessness, I don't know if anyone was aware that this past Thursday, San Bernardino County they hosted Project Connect at the Sportsman's Club. I have never seen so many county departments represented. I've never seen so many county cars in a parking lot before. However, there was a ton, and there was a ton of information, plus there was free lunch. I'm guessing about 200 people showed up by hook, crook, or MBTA was shoveling, no, I didn't mean that. They were shuttling them, not shoveling, shuttling them back and forth. So it was really a terrific event. There was a lot of good information that the county has a lot for you. You just have to go find it, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That concludes our community reports. I think we've already established a number of items for the July agenda. So I'd like to call the meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for coming.